Sup, boys? Welcome to episode 27 of the podcast. Today we have with us a very special guy. His name is Captainbubble. He's an Oklahoma native. He's been with us for quite a while, and he's super fun to talk to. I'm excited for y'all to hear what he has to say. So, anyways, if y'all enjoy this content, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel so YouTube knows that people like it. Comment and tag your RSN, and if I like your comment, I'll choose you next week for a bond. So, anyways, without any further ado, the winner of last week's giveaway is
You know you have to survive. You got
Chris Coates. Congrats, man. Make sure to join the clan, let people know you won, let people know which episode it was, and you'll get your bond. So enjoy the episode, boys. Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're live. Welcome to episode 27 of the Real Workless Experience. Today we have with us a very cool guy. His name is Captainbubble. He's a bronze star in the clan. He's been with us for, I think, maybe a year or maybe a little bit over a year. I'm not quite sure. He's a cool guy. Hangs out in here a lot. Fun to talk to. And I'm excited to have him. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I think I've been here probably going on 2 years now. Probably found you the same way everybody else found you, looking for a house to, use for teleports and all that kind of junk.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you found us. You're really cool, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
Well, cool. Well, as you know, with every episode, the theme of the podcast is how the way we play RuneScape affects how we play and interact in real life. So, in discovering that, we learn more about you and, go from there with where the conversation goes.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit with briefly who you are, where you're from, what you do, and how long have you been playing RuneScape for?
Okay, I'm Captain. I've been playing RuneScape, man, since 2004, probably right as soon as RuneScape 2 came out. So I've been playing for a while, come in, come out, but last couple of years I've been really playing a lot since my son was born. I'm from Oklahoma, the central area, so me and Workless kind of have that in common. We're both from the central area, and I work in the petroleum field.
Cool. That's awesome. How long have you been doing that for?
The petroleum thing has been for about 2 years. What I do is I clean like diesel and gas tanks at like Quick Trip, Casey's, Come and Goes, and I do industrial sites as well. But basically, I filter fuel and make sure that your guys' cars don't break down when you get gas. So, yeah, it's interesting and boring at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's an important job. The Oklahoma economy runs on oil largely, right? With fracking
Right,
and
yeah.
everything.
It's
So,
it's very hit or miss, When the oil's up, Oklahoma's booming. When it's not, it's not booming. So
yeah, that's so true. That's funny.
so
And were
but
you born and raised in Oklahoma?
yeah, I've been in Oklahoma. I was born in the northern part of the state, and then I've lived here my whole life except for when I went to college, and I went to college in Kansas. So, and then I moved back and uh, met my wife, and I have married for 6 years now, and well, 5 going on 6. And then I have a 3 going on 4-year-old. He'll actually be 4 in about 2 weeks, so it's
Oh,
pretty exciting.
congratulations. That's really cool. Yeah, you still sound pretty young. You still have room for at least 5 more kids. You got to
Yeah,
repopulate.
yeah. The wife is really, really wanting. She's kind of hitting that button, like, hey, it's time for another. And I'm like, we'll see.
That's funny. Well, cool.
Yeah, but no, I am 30, so I'm a little on the older side, but still kind of young. So
Yeah. Now
I
you're
feel like a
30.
lot of people. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who play RS are a little bit older. So I guess it's not. I guess I'm still young compared to some people who probably play.
Yeah. I'd say what the age range of RuneScape is 20 to 30s, I think. I haven't met anybody under 20 yet. So,
Yeah, I haven't. Really haven't either. I mean, I have a cousin who tried to get into, and he's just like, yeah, man, I don't know about this. So, but he's a huge League of Legends player, and I play League of Legends too. But that's kind of like my side game. So right now I've been hitting this a lot harder when I have time.
yeah, that's funny. And you said you've been playing RuneScape since you said
Since
2002?
uh, yeah, since my freshman year of high school. So that'd be 2003, 2004.
2003, 2004. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of a crazy story too, because actually the person that got me into it was uh, a person that I still play with to today, and we actually hadn't talked in like 5 years. And then one day he just logged on to his account, and I was like, "Oh man, you were playing?" He's like, "Yeah," and then now we're doing a group Ironman together. So I think it's
Aw,
been really
yeah.
fun. I reconnected with him, so he's actually. He's not in the clan, but he knows of our clan. So he's actually used your house before, and we've done. You've probably seen him around every once in a while, but not as a group. So I don't think it, obviously, because the group can't get in. But yeah, and so we've been doing our group together, and then I have a hard time not playing my main and playing my group. It's hard. It's hard to balance both of them, but I really enjoy. Most of the time, you'll see me on both of them at the same time, trying to do both.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about RuneScape is you can play multiple accounts at once, especially if you play
Yeah,
old school RuneScape. It's a not very click intensive game, unless you want it to be.
right. Yeah, and then that's the great part about it. It's like, yeah, you can AFK all day, or you can do like raids or Vorkath or any of those, and really like step up how much you put into it. So it's definitely put in and get out what you want from it. So unlike some games, some games it's like full attention. Another game, this is one of the few games that like, having a kid, and I know a lot of people that play have kids, and it's real easy to like, you know, do go back and forth. Like I can play, and then like if he needs something, then I can go
Yeah.
and play with him for a second, but jump back on and off. And I really appreciate that about the game. So
It's not something that has to take over your life if you don't want it to. It's something that can complement your life.
right, and then it fully absorbs you, and you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's there's a funny addictive quality to RuneScape, but uniquely satisfyingly complementary to whatever you're doing. Whether it's school or work, or I guess in your case, hanging out with your kid and playing at the same time. So,
Yeah, and he'll watch every once in a while, and he'll be like, "Daddy, that's a dragon." I was like, "I know, he's killing me. Hold on."
that's funny. That's awesome.
Yeah, so
If RuneScape continues to be around, and I think it will, it'd be so cool if your son got into RuneScape,
yeah,
and
like second generation RuneScape players,
yeah,
man.
that'd be
Yeah, I
amazing
mean,
actually. Like the next generation of OSRS players are are like RuneScapers kids.
that would be insane, honestly. Like, because it's 20 years old now, right?
Yeah, 20
21, something like
30s,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
most people
so
are coming out of college, working, getting married, some of them
right,
having kids.
exactly. But and yeah, it's one of those things that it would be very interesting to see how like the next generation plays because when we first start it was more of a social thing, right? Before all social medias and all that, it was like, oh, you want to hang out with somebody online, like you want to hang out with somebody, your friends, but you can't. Well, if you got a computer you can. And that was before, like, the Facebooks, the MySpace, all that kind of stuff. You just get on and chat, and that's what the great part about RuneScape before, the EOC and all that was just like, yeah, you could just hop on, chat up, and then log off, and you know, but you're still grinding and you're still doing everything that's fun. So I like that part in the past about it, and then now it's like, yeah, everything's pretty efficient, but then you get this nice community where everyone's hanging out and chilling, but it's a lot more focused. But it doesn't have to be either. So I think that's the greatest part about this game. Is like the community is way better in this game than any other game I've played.
Yeah, that's a good point. There really is a lot of options on how you want to play RuneScape and how you want to interact with it, really. You can make it more social or you can make it really, like, sweaty, right? And
Right.
not many games, I think, offers that level of, I don't know, synchronicity so well. You can play it socially because you see so many people in the game, and I see it a lot in my house. Like they're like level 70 or 80, and they've been like that for years. And they
Right.
just and all they do all day is they get on, they role play, and that's it. They,
Exactly. Like
they they don't actually play the game. They just hang out with their friends and they dress
yeah,
up. And that's it.
yeah. It's the cosplay. It's the cosplayer's game.
Yeah, it's so funny. And it makes me think like metaverses. Mark Zuckerberg said metaverse is on its way, but RuneScape is already here. What's the point of metaverse?
Exactly. Who needs that social aspect of it, man? We got RuneScape. We can just grind and socialize at the same time. Meta
that's
can't do that.
that's funny.
There's
You
no
know,
grinding in meta.
you mentioned your friend that you've played with since you were young, but then lost connection with for the last 5 years, but recently logged on and you guys reconnected. I think that's a really beautiful story, getting to catch up on what the last 5 years in that person's life has been like. I had a friend that was like that, and I played with him back in, man, this was like RuneScape before EOC, and then when EOC came out, we kind of both quit. But as
I think
of
everyone quit for a little bit when EOC came out. It's
yeah,
just, and if you didn't, you're playing RuneScape 3 now. So it's like,
yeah, exactly. But
have
like
fun.
when OSRS came out, we reconnected and we were fishing lobsters together, and and then just recently we just kind of started reconnecting again, and it's just funny how you really do just you continue where you left off, and I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's true like in real life, like friendships too. If you reconnect with people that you haven't talked to in a while, you just kind of catch up with whatever you guys were talking about from years ago, right? And it's funny how that translates into online games too. It's really very much the same way.
Yeah, because let's see, because he got me into it in high school, right? Freshman year, played sports together, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, you want to play this game with me?" And I was just like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Little did I know, 15 years, 10, 15 years later, I would still be doing the same thing with him, but on a different wavelength, right? Because he's got kids and he's married, and
Oh,
um, last time I saw him was at his wedding, and then I didn't see
what?
him for 5 years,
Wait,
and then
hold on, hold on. So you met this person online when y'all were kids? And
No,
you
no,
ended up
no,
going to his wedding? Oh, okay.
no, no. We went to high school together.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, freshman year we went to the same school and went to high school together, and then I moved away, and we still kept in touch for a while. And then when I went to college, I saw him here and there because the college I went to was close to the hometown. And then when I left for college, that's when like we had our break. Like I hadn't talked to him for a while. And then well, just one day he popped online. I was like, "Holy crap, man! Like I haven't talked to you since your wedding." And he's just like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I've had 2 kids since then." I was like, "That's insane." And
That's funny.
and then that's when my son, you know, my son is turning 4, and his kids are one's older and one's younger. So now my son's friends with his sons, and now it's like crazy because now it's just kind of brought us back together. Because since then I've reached out, we went and eat and all that. So it kind of really brought back a friendship that wasn't there for a while, and it was a huge deal for me. And now now I talk to him weekly, and it's such a good thing because it's just like we can be on and talking or not, and we can just both be a part of each other's lives without having to, you know, hey, can you call me so we can talk? No, we're both doing something we like, and we're doing it together, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I feel like that's something that's really shared more so amongst men. It's like a lot of guys, like, I mean, RuneScapes, I would say the primary RuneScape demographic is going to be guys, right? And,
Right.
you
And
know,
if and the females that do play are streamers, so
yeah, they're, they're e-thoughts, e-girls. Big no. No. That's funny. But yeah, it really is something shared just really mainly amongst men, right? Like the reconnecting with friends and enjoying something together by way of online video games. That is a male thing. Like girls, I don't know any girls that really do that, Like at
No,
all.
usually when females reconnect, I found that girls will reconnect if they want to reconnect type thing. They don't stumble upon like old friends. I feel like
Hmm.
does that make sense? Like I feel like women, if they want to reconnect, they will, but um, it's not through. It's usually through kids, right? So like if my wife reconnects with somebody, it's usually like, hey, hey, I saw that your kid's about the same age as my kid. You want to have like a kid date or something, and or hey, my son's having a birthday party. Do you want to come? Type thing, and that's how I see. They're more of social, like in person communicating, talking versus guys. We do activity together, and it can just be the activity, and then the social part comes with the activity because guys can just sit in the same room together, not say anything, and hey, we had a great time. And I don't know if that's true for women. I'm sure there's some women out there that can, but I definitely feel that you're right that online gaming is definitely like that social aspect is definitely primarily male, and maybe that's why we're drawn to it a little bit because there's a lot of things that guys can talk to and about without the restrictions of crossing lines and just be guys. And that's one thing RuneScape does as well, is just like you are free to just be a guy, and you can talk about what you want to talk to, and nobody really takes anything personal. And it's truly amazing what happens when you just have a bunch of group of people you don't know who they are, but you're all kind of in this common eco space. And truly that's kind of what's kept me going, is like when I joined this clan, your clan, it was just like, oh, I've met 20 or 30 guys that now I can go do things with that I didn't have before. So, I think that's really cool that, just by using your house, it's brought me to like all these different people that I play with now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's go further into that. Why is gaming such a male dominated sphere? And with your point about the clan, that's a that's a very true statement. There's a lot of interesting and I think cool guys in the clan. And a lot of them, they're like people that I'd like to, like I'd be down to meet them. It's like you're pretty cool in game. I like the conversations. And I bet you're pretty cool in real life too. It's funny how that translates, I think.
Oh yeah, and
Like which is not true for women. I like
yeah, I mean,
it's a lot
I think
more that
women's
girls will like will maybe be more sneaky online. This is true for social media, right? It's true for like Instagram photos, it's true Tinder, things like that.
yeah
It's
that
different,
that yeah, that's kind of close to.
It's
I'll be
like
back off.
it's like whereas online men can express their true selves through video games, online girls express the version they wish they were, but just by way of like pictures. It's not actually interactions.
Yeah, I can see that to an extent.
Yeah,
I think it's completely true, and how men use social, like gaming versus how women use social like Instagram and stuff. Like I don't even have an Instagram, but I can tell you that you know my sisters and all of them, I'm sure they do, and that's how they get their social fix without actually having to talk to people. You can check in on people without actually talking to them, and there's time and place for that as well. But as far as like the social gaming part of it, guys will be social if they want to be social. I think that's the guys don't have the stigmatism of you got to be social that women kind of. I feel like sometimes women have that on them, especially because if they're introverted. Like my wife's pretty introverted, but I think she has social pressures that like, hey, I should do this. Well, you don't have to, but women feel that pressure do. Versus guys, I don't feel pressure to talk to anyone. I talk to people if I want to talk to them. And if they talk to me, I don't have any, I'm not going to not talk to you. But if you don't want to go out of your way to talk to me, I'm not going to hold it against you either.
yeah, that's a good point. There really is a more there is more of a, I guess, social burden on women in the sense that they are expected to act a certain way in social situations, right? They have to be like womanly, right? They have to be social. They have to do those types of things. Whereas men sort of have more leeway. We can choose what we want to do, and nobody really says anything. It's just oh yeah, he's just a guy, right?
Right. Because if a girl doesn't talk, she's shy or she's introverted.
Right.
Which introverted doesn't necessarily mean that you're not good in social. Like my wife's introverted, but she's very good at like fake it till you make it social aspects, right? Versus I feel like I'm more extroverted, but women if they're not social, they're just shy. Versus guys, if they're not social, well, they're just being a guy, and you have the grandpa that doesn't say much, but when he does, it means a lot. So when guys choose to be social, I feel like it's especially in like this, you know, clan and this. When we choose to talk, we don't have to talk, but we choose to because we want that social. We want that. We want to goof around with each other, and we can goof around with each other and not even know each. Like
Right.
this is the first time I've ever talked to you, but
Yeah,
I
it
know
is.
we'd get along. I know we'd get along if we ever met. So just because I feel like we're both, we've communicated enough through the game that I kind of know who you are and you kind of know who I am. And now we have this bond that we got if we wouldn't have been that we wouldn't have if we weren't playing. So, um, you know, it's a lot different, and I feel like that's why guys lean more towards games because you know that is a social interaction that we can use or we can't. Either way. But I think, and versus women, they can choose as well, but they're it's just different. They can kind of scope out beforehand who they want to talk to, and then proceed if they want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I like what you said about the clan interactions and that people want to talk and interact. Like the conversations are, in my opinion, I feel like they're always very spontaneous and genuine. Never forced. And honestly, I don't think they're awkward unless somebody in there thinks it's awkward.
No, I mean we talk about the craziest things in the
Yeah.
clan, and when I get off, sometimes I'm like, "What the heck were we talking about?" And then I'm like, "It was so funny that I don't even care," you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's because guys feel like they can actually talk and express certain opinions and ideas that, otherwise I guess they can't really share in real life because they don't have people to share it with, or there's a lot of reasons for that. But you're right, like people do want to talk in the clan. Most of them are guys, and the interactions and conversations are very genuine and spontaneous, and that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is like, especially on RuneScape, and this is one of the things that RuneScape does that I don't see a lot. There's like a brand new person to the clan, no one has ever talked to ever, and they probably just come by it from either using your house or they know someone, like one person. That's how I joined. I used your house and then I joined your clan, and then all of a sudden I've been in here for 6 months. Then you rank me up, and now I've been in here for 2 years, and I know most of the people. And it's crazy that we take, especially your clan, you take someone that's brand new, and everyone is invested. You know what I mean? Like, if someone's like, "Hey, I got a question," there's not this like, "No, I don't know who you are, so I'm not going to answer," or, "Hey, I could use some help." 9 times out of 10, there's at least one, two, five people that'll be like, "Yeah, I'll drop what I'm doing and come and help you." You couldn't pay me to say that like Call of Duty players do that, or World of Warcraft players do that, or like a brand new person you never met, five people drop what they're doing and go help them. And I think that's really cool about RuneScape and this clan that we're in.
Yeah. Yeah, RuneScape has an excellent community, and it is very well, the community is all player created, first of all. Like Jagex as a company or corporation, gaming corp, has really done nothing to facilitate it other than, maybe updating the clan system, right? But everything from the '07 Reddit, the '07 Scape Reddit, to all the content on YouTube revolving around, old school RuneScape, and
Yeah,
like the memes on RuneScape, it all comes it's all very organic from the player base itself, right?
yeah,
And I think that's why it works, and that's why people who, people are interested in other players and want them to stay, and especially in
yeah.
the
They want,
clans too.
yeah, you want those people to stay because you've had this positive interaction, and then now you want to continue to have that positive interaction. He brings somebody, and then you bring somebody, and now you got a group of interactions. Like, for instance, like League of Legends. I love the game, but I can't stand like the people on it because it's a you win lose type situation, right? And so if you win, yeah, everyone's feeling it, but if you lose, I have never experienced so much like hate in a game before. Maybe Call of Duty, but like, that community is terrible, and that game's having a hard time turning it around right now because it's like, yeah, you can play with a friend, but then you probably upset with your friend because he's dying or whatever. Versus on RuneScape, it's like, what's your friend doing? Probably something completely unrelated to you. And if you are doing something together, it's just like a learning thing, right? Like, oh, you messed up, but guess what? We'll do it better next time. That's the community of it, and that's what really pulls me back to RuneScape versus like playing League or playing any other game. Is just like, when I get on, I know I'm either going to have a good conversation or I'm going to do something that I enjoy without being criticized, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. You think that's a large reason why so much of the RuneScape player base consists of older people as well? And at least with the people I've talked to on here, I like, and I'm not sure if this is the majority of gamers in general. I'd actually reckon it is, but at least with most people that I've had on this podcast, everybody that I've had on, they're all pretty normal and cool guys. Like they're able to hold down a job. They don't live in their mom's basement. They probably work out. They're not how media portrays gamers to be. Like they're if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
They're
and
more
I think that
mature.
right, and I think that has a lot to do with how the game is and how the community has been created over the years. I mean, you still get that's the PvP community, is like, that's the only community that's kind of like whatever in RuneScape, right? But it's such a small portion. But that's that win lose. You know, anytime you have a win lose game where one person wins, one person loses, there's always going to be, or a team loses, or a team wins. There's always going to be that like animosity between like the losing team, right? And I think that's why RuneScape does a good job. And it's not necessarily Jagex. I don't think Jagex as a company is bad, but I think that there's a lot. They owe their community a lot for keeping this game running, because if you really think about old school compared to like other games, there's other games that other people, like if it was a good community and a good experience, that other people would go play just because it's updated, right? It's better graphics, all this. But because the community is so good, Jagex has like a lot like I don't know why they don't do more community stuff, because it's like that's what's going to hold this game together. And I don't know. I think that's why other games die too, right? Because you got to have the player base. If you don't have the player base, the game's not going to live. And so I think you're seeing it with a lot of the games that came out around around RuneScape times. Like, they're done and gone. They had terrible communities, and people don't play them anymore. But now RuneScape's still existing because of how the community was made, and yeah, I think it'll keep going. I don't see RuneScape going away anytime soon. I mean, I don't. If it's lasted 20 years on the same system, and EOC almost did it in, but other than that, I think it'll still flourish.
Yeah, that's an interesting question to think about, right? Like, you think about most MMORPGs, and really MMORPG as a genre is it's
I'm dying.
saturated. Like, there's so
Yeah.
many MMORPGs, and they come out everywhere. Like Japan, like China's making a bunch of them now, right? So a lot of the Asian
I
countries,
mean,
there's like European countries making them, and they don't last that long. But for some reason, RuneScape has been able to survive. I think the smartest thing Jagex has done is they pulled and followed through on bringing back old school RuneScape, and then making it
mhm,
free to play, and then bringing bonds or something. But it's
yeah.
like, I think that's like the only good thing that they've done, and really the reason why they survived. I'm not sure why other MMORPGs died, because I think they do have good communities, but for some reason RuneScape has been able to endure. I think it has something to do with to do with the gameplay as well. In that,
Yeah.
unlike
That,
other,
I think the grind. I think that's the like the feeling of accomplishment when you like from the littlest thing like completing a quest to the maxing is like you can find enjoyment in every part, like every stage of the game. Like when new players first start and they see those levels just skyrocket, 1 through 40 you can get in an hour or whatever. And then it's one of the, I think that's what sucks you back in. You're just like, oh, if I just spend a little bit more time, I hit my goal. And not that other games don't do that, because I know WoW did that. I know the new game, what's it called? My cousin plays it. Uh, New World. I've heard it's very similar. Like it's pretty grindy as well. But I think the difference is um, honestly, I don't know, because it's not that, like you said, it's not that other games have not had good communities, but I think you're right. I think Jagex did a good thing. Is like, yeah, the free to play is great and it gets people involved, and then you can play for free, right? You buy bonds, technically it's for free, and it's good gold sync so people don't get bored, right? So oh, I don't think I'm gonna play anymore because I don't want to pay the $11. Okay, well, just spend 5-7 mil on a bond and you can keep going. And yeah, I think that was a good feature that they added.
yeah, following with that question right now of why RuneScape endures, I really think the gameplay of it has a lot to do with it, in that it's not so like it's really not an intensive game. Like people can make the game more intensive now with learning how to, I don't know, like player flick when when they're doing combat, doing tick manipulations, right? Like the untaught stuff of RuneScape, if that makes sense. Like the game doesn't teach you that; you learn that player from the player
Right.
base. Um, but the mechanics of RuneScape, it's very simple, right?
Yeah.
And it is something that really, as people get older and they have, it's not that they don't have time, but they have other things to focus on, right?
Right.
And that's why
It's
RuneScape is so successful as a like online um uh mobile game as well, right? It's something you can do while you're on the toilet in between taking dumps or something,
yeah, right. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
it's a
it's the
simple
only
game.
game that you try hard not to play, right? Like I don't know any other game that you AFK as much as you can on RuneScape.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you click like Nightmare Zone. You can avoid it for 15, 20 minutes, It's one of the like crazy things is like, oh, well, you can play it by not playing it. And, I don't know another game that you can do that. Maybe a couple other
That's
MMOs,
true.
you know, but I think the beauty of it is like you said, you can do the sweaty versions and you cannot. And you can do a whole bunch of things in the middle. And I think that's what a lot of people do. Hey, I don't feel like doing this sweaty, 60-hour Vorkath grind to buy this item. I'd rather just like woodcut for like 10 hours or whatever, and then it's also one of the only games that you can take a break from and then come back and you're still in the same spot, you know, like your skills haven't gone down, you know. For instance, like Call of Duty, like if you are a high rated Call of Duty person and you play Call of Duty 24/7 and you get up there and you take a month off and you come back, you're going to get your butt kicked. Like, but you can play RuneScape, take a month off, come back. Not much has changed, but the things that have changed aren't necessarily going to impact you enough for you to be like deterred from playing.
That's a good point. I've never thought about that before. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with sort of the slow, you know, some people complain about it with like, oh, the polling system's so flawed. It needs 75% to pass anything. So things like warding didn't get passed, whatever. But it's like, it has a large benefit as well, because you were right with people who, quit, like I won't say quit. I don't think anybody actually quits RuneScape. They always come
No,
back.
you don't. You just take a break.
Yeah,
That's
for
that's
people who take the long extended breaks, they can always come back, and the game progresses, but doesn't progress away from them. Like they can come back and be like, oh, what happened? Oh, okay, there's a clan update. Oh, okay, I didn't know
yeah.
there
For
was a
like
clan
like the
hall or
biggest
something.
thing is like yeah, like the biggest thing for me when I first was like Zaya, right? I came back, I had no idea what this thing like that whole they added a continent, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like you come
funny.
back and you're just like, oh, there's like an entire new map, and then but it's like, oh, I played for like 3 months and never even went over there because I didn't know what it was. But all right, well, you just slowly chip away. Oh, now I know everything about Zaya. And so it's just like one of those, like, they add content and then you can choose to or not. And then some of it'll help you, but it's not going to hinder you, right? Like you can still do things without updates hindering you. And I think that's good too, because it's like, I think they definitely cater to the non-sweaty and the sweaty players at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's really such a well designed game, and
yeah,
a very good RPG. It's something that you can really get sucked into, like you said, but also disconnect.
yeah.
It doesn't have to
It's,
consume your
it's,
life.
Yeah, it's funny though, is because like my wife will watch me play like League because it's very sweaty, right? I don't know if have you ever played League of
I
Legends?
have played League. Yeah, it is something like I stopped playing League because just the rounds take like 45 minutes. I just can't.
Right.
It just takes too
It's
much
a time
time.
commitment.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
exactly.
time. Yeah, it's definitely you gotta have all right. Don't have anything planned for the next hour, at least. And so it's definitely and that's one of the drawbacks from the 5v5 go at it type games. But my wife will watch me play that because it's very intense and all that. But I will say from the viewing point, like if you have no like League can be exciting even if you have no idea what's going on. If you just understand the concept, oh, I kill that guy, they kill me. If I kill them,
Yeah.
cool. But my wife, it's bless her heart, like I'll be like, hey babe, I finally got 99 whatever, and she's like, congrats. She's like, she has no care in the world. Like it does not like the grind means nothing to her, and I think but I think that's where the clan comes in too. Is like you share, like people see you get that level, and they know the time commitment it takes to get into that,
That's
and
true.
so
Yeah.
that's where the community comes in too. Is just like, holy crap, that just got for instance, like I got on the Iron Man, I got a pet on the group, and I was like, babe, I got a pet. That's really cool. She goes, oh, how much you buy it for? I was like, no, you don't understand. She's like, I really don't care. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me talk to somebody else about it. No, she does. She definitely like I'll say something and she'll definitely act excited, but I know in the
Yeah,
back of her head she's like,
she has to play her part. She's like, "Oh my god, my
yeah,
husband is so excited about this. I don't give a f what this is." She's like buying you presents. Congrats on getting like 50 skilling level on your group Iron Man. That's halfway, right?
it's funny because I was like, would you ever play this? And she's like, absolutely not. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's funny.
Definitely not. Well, and like you said, it's definitely not a female-oriented game at all.
It's
And
not. Yeah.
it's not. And I think
That's why I'm skeptical about every girl I meet on RuneScape. It's like, okay.
no, it's just a
Yeah.
sweaty guy in the basement. Like
Yeah,
it really is.
it's like, yeah, you're a girl. Okay.
It's
I'm a
funny
girl
because
too.
like I don't know that we have a girl in our clan, but if we did, I would never know who it is. You
You
know
would
what I
never
mean?
what?
Like if we had a girl in our clan, I would never know who it is, just because like every person I've talked to, I'm like, no, that's a guy. Like it's 100% a guy. And so I don't know if we do, you might know, but I certainly don't know of any women in our clan.
I mean, there's Nani, and then there's Aspect of AFK. And those were the two confirmed girls because I did podcasts with them. So
Okay, I
yeah.
didn't see those, but I also haven't talked to either one.
Sorry,
So
can
that
you say that again? You kind of got a
oh,
little
I'm
bit
sorry.
of
I haven't. So that makes sense. I wouldn't. I may have caught on if I would talk to them, but yeah, I definitely haven't talked to either one of them. I don't think.
yeah. No, there are definitely girls on here, but they are far and few. I would say they are less than 1%, Like the drop rate of a real girl in this game is like 1 in 5,000. It's a
Oh,
pet
easy.
drop. It's
Yeah, I
like
mean,
if you meet a
it's
girl in this game, it's like, okay, congrats, you like, that's basically
yeah,
like getting a pet.
it's like achievement unlocked type thing.
Yeah.
Like
It is, yeah.
yeah,
They're
no,
so
that
far and few.
yeah that honestly, I've never even thought about it because you get on and everyone's just typing. I don't even think to consider if there's like, oh, maybe But then again, it is one of those places that you speak your mind and you can be goofy. I mean, there's even serious like debates in our thing, but nobody ever gets butthurt about anything. And I think
I mean, people
that's
do get butthurt, but those people usually just leave.
right, right. If you get butthurt, I mean, like the core, right? The core people that are in there, week in, week out, those people are not going to be, they understand you can have a conversation. All right, if you don't want to be part of it, just mute. Like you just it's a simple button, just mute it, call it good. And but most of the conversations are just like, congratulations, complete that grind, or people just being really dumb. But it's so funny that
Yes.
it makes it so good.
Yeah, there's a good sense of humor in the clan. I think most people understand what shit posting is. And that's
Yeah,
essential to interacting with specifically men online.
yeah,
Like you can't really like you can't shit post on social media. You'll get banned, right?
right,
Your account will be blocked, and I don't know, fucking the Fed will fine you or something. But
right.
on games where
That,
you're
that's how
anonymous,
most
you can act like
That's how
that.
most people like get greeted in. I mean, most of the time when I first log on, the first thing I say is something very like off the wall, out of left field. And then, oh, he's online because he said something weird. Okay, now we can have a conversation. Most of the time, and I did this for a while. It was Bong, and the second I'd get on, I would just say something to him every time I got on. And I've never had a conversation with him, but I would always just say something to him just to like rattle him because his reactions are so funny.
That's funny. Yeah, no, you're right. Bong is he is so fun to mess with. I actually did an episode with him recently too. And he's a funny dude.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that one because I think I've watched Aka's and I think I watched another one. I can't remember at the moment though.
Yeah. All good
Yeah,
people. But yeah, no, Bong's hilarious. And yeah, and you're right. It's if people get it, they get it. And it's what I like about the clan is I'm really very not involved. I just kind of like I'm very hands off, and the clan sort of filters itself and morphs into the culture that it is now, and it's a beautiful thing to watch and see. Very genuine interactions, I think. And you're right, like people do help each other out, and they go out of their way to do it too.
yeah. How did you come about? I mean, and you probably answered this in a previous one, but how did you come about even starting it?
Oh
I mean, I know.
yeah, I
Go
I,
ahead.
I started it after so so I started the clan. It was after like all the George Floyd stuff and all the major like corporations were taking their brave and profound stand that they stand with Black Lives Matter and they stand
Right.
against racism. And Jagex did the same thing, of course. And they were like, to
Right.
show our stance against this, we will be banning and muting, like, we're just kind of be taking out words, even with the
Right.
profanity filter on. And I just found that so appalling. I was like, this is a gaming community. You can do that on Twitter, you can do it on Facebook, but you don't do that to gaming because this is
It's kind
like
of
my
like the unspoken rule of
yeah.
gaming, right? Like if you censor gamers, they're going to lash out. And not that, I don't support racism or anything, but you know, everyone's equal and we shouldn't even have to have a stance, you know what I mean? Like there's no reason that we should ever even have to take a stance on it. I understand why we do, but at the same time, there's no reason for it. And so when you have to publicly declare, you know, half the time I don't even believe you. It's just like why do you have to publicly declare? Shouldn't it just be
It's a virtue
like
signal. That's all it is,
yeah,
especially if they're major corporations, right? That's all it
right.
is. My
Yeah.
my
And then
philosophy has always been like gaming is in the 21st century, right? Like in the era of internet and like back then you used to have symposiums, right? The Romans used to have a forum that people would just literally walk in and just like talk about politics, philosophy, and life, right? Whatever was
right,
popular or unpopular, like they had places for those things. But now in today's society there is no place, and it's not like the internet used to be the Wild West, but it's no longer so.
no,
So
everything's cut and dry, and
yeah,
so
but gaming really is the last. For the longest time, it was like the last frontier of free speech. Is my philosophy on it, and that's why gaming has its own culture, right? That's why you have things like the gamer word. That's why Japanese image boards like 4chan exist, and why so many interesting characters and personalities and cultures exist on that, and a lot of it crosses with things like gaming and anime. It's because it's like it doesn't you can't have it anywhere else, right? So anyways,
right,
to answer your question, when Jagex took that stance of they're going to be taking out certain words, and at this point it's just like you don't even know what word it is. You just kind of say it. Like you could say the word like the word retarded is is started out, and
right.
it's not even a bad word, it's
No, I mean, if you look at the definition of that word, all it means is that
slowed.
something is not up to par with what
Yeah,
the norm is. That's all
right.
that means.
But
Like when someone is mentally retarded, it means their brain doesn't function at the par of like a normal person. It's not saying they're dumb or their IQ is not high. It's just saying their brain doesn't function as
yeah,
well.
it's
That's
not a slur, but Jagex
it's not
censors that
derogatory at
word.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just like so stuff like that. So when that first happened, like obviously you know the major words are gonna get censored, right?
Right.
Like the gamer words, stuff like that. But eventually it was just like words like retarded gets like censored out. Just really random words, parts of words get censored out. So now when you're typing things and you have commas, sometimes that gets starred out, right? And
Right.
so anyways, to answer your question, I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna make a clan, and within the clan, people can talk. And then I made a Discord, and that's where people can have the gamer conversations, right? And that was, and that's all I wanted to do. I wasn't expecting it to really grow that big, or have the get the notoriety that it has received. But I
It
still
really
stand
has.
by
Like,
it. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I remember, beforehand, your clan chat was literally just for people who came and used your house, and then it turns into this culture, and then now it's, I've seen it grow and grow, and I've seen people come and go, and then show back up like a year later, and it's just like, oh, I remember you from when I first started talking in here, and your hands-off approach is kind of cool too, because it's not that you're completely hands-off, because I see you interacting with people. It's just you have this platform like, hey, I'm doing this for you guys so that you guys can enjoy what you're doing without someone coming and bonking you on the head when you make a mistake. That's not what you do. And that's one of the things I think a lot of people in the clan appreciate. It's just like, you'll cut in with us every once in a while. And yeah, you might not go and like do the gaming part with us, but it's not like you're missing anything either. Right? You're still part of you still see all the conversations. You still see when, people get their accomplishments, or we get a drop or whatever. You're still in there enjoying the community, but just from like a back seat. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think a lot of people are just like, I think it's funny when people actually see you on your account for the first time, because they'll start talking to you. And I'm just like, he might talk to you, but he's probably not there.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, I mean, that's the that's how I interact with RuneScape now. At this, I'm at this point in my life and what I'm doing. I use RuneScape more as a way to meet new interesting people online, and it helped a lot during COVID. And
For sure, for
it's a
sure.
social outlet for me because I'm not on social media anymore. I just disconnected from all that, and I've and I full fledgedly connected to the gamer world. Although not really gaming, but the conversations I think are important, and I think they're significant. Both the shit posts and the serious debates, right? Because this is
Sure.
like
It's
gaming
everyone,
places is
yeah.
where that can happen. It does not
It's
happen
it's
anywhere
everyone
else.
being their truest form, right? Everyone has their character that they are, and everyone has their truest form of, hey, I'm gonna say this, and you don't know who I am, so it's okay. And then someone thinks it's funny. Okay, well, that's something I wouldn't have said, but I'm glad I said it, right? Or the opposite of that. It's, you know we don't have to say anything at all, but I feel like, especially you probably know more about some of the people here in the clan than their Facebook friends know about them. You know what I mean? Like, you get to know the person better because they can say what they want and act and do what they want. So I think it's one of those situations you get to know people better from their character than you would like Googling them or something, or even having a conversation on Facebook, because, Facebook, everyone knows who you are, and so they'll judge you and berate you if you do something.
Yeah.
Versus here, it's
Hmm.
like, everyone's truest form, or not. People can be somebody completely different if they want, but it's all in the, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of the beauty of what is gaming culture, and the anonymity of it, right? And it's a shame that it's being attacked right now, right? And you know to to really dig deeper into it, I'd say it's a larger attack on just men in general because most gamers are men, right? This culture, like like there's so much intersectionality, is what I mean with gaming, right? So when you go against gaming and you think the people who play video games and those who play specifically online video games and interact online, right? They're all
Right.
guys, and it's very significant, right? And it's been going on for a long time, is what I mean. You know,
Mhm.
it goes into things like, why does quote unquote toxic masculinity, why is that, why are those things being pushed in media? Um, just stuff like that, right? It's
Yeah, it's just one of those, like you said, this is our own culture, our own area. Just leave it alone. Like, you haven't been in here for 20 years. There's no reason you need to come in now.
right. Yeah.
So I completely agree with you on that.
Why do you think that it's being infiltrated upon?
because it's more wild. Like, so, like for instance, like everything's at like the touch of a button now, right? So, like, you know, for like 10, like 5, even like 5 years ago, nobody's going to come on RuneScape and, take the time to meet all these people and then, or even like go up to the corporate head and be like, I don't like what your people are saying, because corporate heads don't even know what you're saying, right? But now, like TikTok, all of those things where anyone and everyone can have this huge platform and say their opinion and criticize you for your opinion. Well, now you can have like an influencer that's playing RuneScape that doesn't like how people are talking or whatever. Well, guess what? Somebody watches them and now they understand that, oh, this is another place that we can shove our influence on. And I think that's what the big thing is. It's like gaming is just the next thing that people are going to try to control and shove their opinion and shove their their ideals on. I think that's what it is. It's just they have access now because of YouTube, because of TikTok, because of all these people's opinions, and there's a light on it now, especially because
Okay.
10 years ago gaming wasn't cool, or if you were a gamer, at least when I was younger, it was like if you were a gamer, you didn't really like project it out there. You just did it at home. And then you had your gaming friends and you had your real life friends, but they
Right.
didn't really. Sometimes they would coexist, sometimes they wouldn't, but the whole world wouldn't know that that's what you were doing. And now that's how it is.
Yeah, no, that's a
There's no
good point.
there's no secrets. Yeah.
Yeah, as things become more popular, it ends it it just gets more fake. It's not it ceases to be what it originally was, as the mainstream adopts it as their own. That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing in like sports, like just normal sports, traditional sports. 20 years ago, you didn't have these athletes that would share their political views. And now every athlete shows their political views when they have no idea what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even, like, nobody cares what your political view is. They care about you because you play a sport. And now it's the same thing with gaming. It's like, oh, you're a gaming corporation. What is your view on this? Oh, it's not what I want, so it's bad. And that's where we're getting at now. It's like if Jagex wouldn't have took the stand, someone probably would have eventually called him out and like, why aren't you making the stand? And I think that's what it is. It's the social pressure of, you know, the big person cares this way, so you have to feel that way too.
Yeah. Yeah, and really that's why it's so upsetting for people, when they cuz all of it is so forced, right? Like the everything about gaming is a organic experience, I think, because a lot of it is really it's as close to a democracy as you can get in terms of like how it becomes successful, right? Because it has to be adopted by people voluntarily, and the people have to decide that they like it, right?
Right.
And if the person who's like serving the people wants to stay relevant, they have to really serve the people, right? But when you have these certain opinions and really all the politics gets involved, it's so forced, and it's I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's a lot of it is a attack on men. And it really just essentially comes down to a lot of those things, like so many things that are forced down, um like forced upon you. They're A lot of it is like male dominated fields, Like an example is let's see. I had another episode with Mr. Wolf, and we were talking about comic books, right? And I think 2 months ago or something, there was Superman. Superman was gay, or Superman's son is bisexual, or something like that, And it was supposed to be like this brave and profound moment for comics to, have this
Yeah,
brave and profound gay Superman. But people were
yeah,
pissed and they were
and
furious, and the question
right,
was why, right?
yeah. Well, and my thing is, why is it relevant?
Yeah,
Why is it
exactly.
relevant that he's gay? Like, it doesn't matter,
And nobody
Does it
asked
does
for
it
it
fit?
either. It's just being forced
Yeah,
upon you.
and does it fit a story? It might, but it's like, is that going to be enough? Is that going to be a big enough? Like, it's not profound that you know, that you're gay. It's fine, whatever you want to be, that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with it. But at the same time, why is it relevant? That's like when you get interviewed for a job, and hey, are you gay? Well, why is that relevant to this situation? You're hiring me for a job. Why is my sexuality like? Why is someone's sexuality matters so much nowadays? And I think that's what bothers me the most. Is just like, if you ask like 90% of guys if they care about someone's sexual preference, they're going to say no, right? But if someone up above is like, oh, that guy doesn't like gay people, well, now it's a problem, because now it's like, no, I don't dislike gay people, but why is it relevant? Like, I think the relevancy is my biggest thing. It's like, does your sexual, you know, it doesn't matter. In the long run, for what we're doing, doesn't matter. Like, is Superman's son gay? Does it really matter if he's gay when he's saving the world? No, not really. That's a personal
That's a good
connection
point.
that he
Yeah.
has with someone. You know, and that's how I see it. Like, all of that needs to be behind. Like, that can be a conversation with with your friends, with your people, but like, that's why I have a big thing. Is like, when people come out, I'm like, cool, congratulations, like, I'm excited for you. Why do I need to be? If you're gay and your partner's gay and you guys can just be gay together, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not relevant to me unless I'm trying to hit on you or something. Like, that's the only time it's relevant,
Yeah.
but it's not relevant to anything else.
Yeah, it's like all that stuff is like you said, they can talk about it with their friends or something. It's just it's like fan fiction, it's not canon. Just okay. Congratulations, that's very cool. But it's being forced upon you, Everything is it I mean, we overhear the term identity politics and stuff like that, but it really is what it is, And
Well, and that's ruling the world right now.
it's just so yeah, it's just so it's
Like,
just
people care
it's just
more
weird.
about who's gay, straight, bi, trans. People care about that way more now than inflation. Like, why is that bigger than inflation? You know why? I don't care if so and so is gay. I care that gas costs $5 a gallon. Like, when did we grow away from things that matter? Because I'm pretty sure in the long run, someone's sexuality doesn't matter these days. It
Well,
does, but in this day and age, you can be whatever you want to be, and nobody can say anything about it. And you're not gonna,
well, no, you can't. You can be whatever you want to be, but people will say stuff about it, right?
right?
You the freedom actually doesn't exist anymore. It's identity politics exists right now. It's because it forces people to divide, right? And it's easier to control. I mean, I don't know. Getting beyond the scope of the podcast, obviously,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Sorry.
But but
Little out there, but
but there is like I'd agree with that I don't know that there's probably some nefarious intent when it comes to something like you have to care about how somebody identifies, and not that it even I I'll say I don't think it's that it didn't matter, but it's that it wasn't a problem before. Why do they make it a problem now? If that makes sense,
Yeah,
it used to
exactly.
be, and to bring it back to gaming, it used to be like, if you thought gaming culture was toxic, you just wouldn't play online video games. You just do something
Exactly.
else. You would disconnect and do something that was not gaming, right?
Or play
And
the game on mute. Like that's
yeah,
I try to tell people this that like people are like, yeah, I can't get past it. I'm just like every single game that I can think of has a mute button. You can literally not talk to anyone and play the game. So if you have a problem with someone being toxic, either mute them or don't play. Like that you have the options. And that's the problem is just like, well, I should be able to talk to whoever and whatever, and they should be able to not say this. I'm just like, no, that's freedom of speech. You don't have that right. You don't have the right to control what somebody else says. I'm sorry. You don't. Like the
yeah,
censorship is a big deal. And when you start, I don't care what you do as long as you don't affect my rights, right? But I'm not also gonna like I'm not this person that's like my rights matter and I'm just like just you do you, I'll do me, and you know that's it.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you. It's it's interesting nonetheless. What a what a what funny intersectionalities exist within gaming and the conversations it can lead to. You know, so
Right. No, I think but bringing it back to like RuneScape and stuff, I think what you're doing as far as like bringing a community together and bringing people who you know share the game, share the community is such a cool and interesting thing that I'm glad to be a part of because I've never played, besides like sports or work and like that. Those, the social things that you're just in when you in real life. I don't know of a lot of people who do gaming that also reach out online to other people that they don't know and just start having, there's forums and stuff, but especially for men, it's one of those like, there's this really cool person in the world somewhere that I have no idea about, but I talk to him daily, and it's really interesting.
yeah, it's a beautiful thing. you know and you bring up sports, and I'll say sports, crafts, vocation, stuff like that, but specifically sports. That's these are all very male things, right? Like you can, like, two guys, regardless of race, gender. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe gender is different now, but like, race, political views, like men specifically can find common ground in sports and become friends and compete over it in something like that. Where I'm going with it is like sports as well as like and gaming. It's one of those few areas that have the potential to transcend, right, the the bounds of division, right? And
Yeah,
as you mentioned, really, like, now in sports there's just all this weird politics stuff, like in the recent Olympics, right? There was so much like weird politics stuff in the in the 2021 Olympics in Japan, and
yeah.
it's just like, and what did it do? It just caused people to fight, argue, not want to compete, right? It's just
Well,
it
and as a viewer, it's not something you care about, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Like, what did it do for the view? It didn't do anything for the view.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
So
sure it was the least watched Olympics in the last like 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no,
So we know for sure it's not profitable, right? It's not
right.
profitable, so they aren't doing it for profit. It's not popular, so they're not doing it because it's popular. It's not favorable. It is not so many things. So why are they doing it? They're doing it because they're forcing it. And
Yeah.
that's a big red pill right there. Is why are
Yeah.
they forcing it? You know?
Yeah. Well, and it needs to come back to, why did we, for instance, like, what's the purpose of the Olympics? To compete, right? Well, why compete? Well, because you get something from competing. Like when you win and there's people watching you and they think it's incredible. You're doing all these incredible feats. And same with gaming. It's like, why do you play games? Well, there's a social aspect. There's a competition aspect. There's all these different things that are, biological in us that we want to do. We want a social. We're a social species, and then on top of that, we're also a competitive species. It's built in our DNA to compete with one another, but it's also built in our DNA to, appreciate the value of competition. And so when you take away the appreciation of it, then you're just left with competition. And then, competition without the appreciation of competition, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
I like what you said about it comes down to DNA as well, because it is very biological, these responses, and really the way we feel, um in the way that like the way that it's been for a long time. It's just there's no reason now that it's like the 21st century for to uproot all of like human evolution, you know,
yeah,
in terms of like cultural and I mean every just human interaction to just flip it over on its head, and
yeah,
like and this is why I think it always goes back to I mean it like with the takes I'm giving right now, you can tell I'm somebody who's online,
yeah.
it's a like it just comes back to just like this weird flip with like changing culture, and a lot of it is um in my opinion attacking men, and it literally destroys civilization is what it does. It destroys
Oh, it
culture,
does. I mean,
destroys human
yeah.
interaction, and it that
Well,
that's
that's
what
why a lot
happens.
of the big civilizations I mean, the Roman civilization, nobody really knows 100% why, but a lot of their downfall was because their democracy failed. Like all these ideas and stuff, basically they got too powerful, and then they died within, and that's what America, and this is a little off topic, but America is kind of in that spot right now where people kind of was like, you got to kind of pay attention to history, because this isn't the first time all these ideas have been pushed on people. And most of the time when you push ideas on people who don't want them to be pushed, there's a definitely a reaction. And I think that's where we're at, as far as, you got the people, you got the split people, the people who, aren't awake to this situation. And then you got the people who are awake and are like, this is not good. But I think everyone feels this is not good, but there's some people who want to make it better, and there's some people who are just going with the flow, right? And, I'm not explaining myself very well. There's people that don't understand what a crisis we're in right now, because they live independently away from the masses, right? So like vloggers, people of influence, that's a problem. All these people that live away from all this are people of influence and people of power. And they don't care because it's not going to affect them. It's going to affect everyone else.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like the people who are least affected by it preach it, right? Because they're so disconnected from the reality in which most people live in.
Right.
You look at, uh, I mean, a recent example is I'm not. You may or may not follow this, but it's Santa Inc., which is a new Christmas show that was released on HBO Max. I don't know if it was directed, but it starred, Seth Rogen and Sarah Silverman.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I've saw some of it. I was trying to stay away from it because I was kind of like, I don't know if I'll just be upset about this or
Oh
not.
man, dude, watch the
We'll talk
trailer.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you watch the trailer, like, let me know what you think about the trailer later. But
All
it's
right.
anyways, Seth Rogen and basically, trailer came out, got like 156,000 downvotes on YouTube before they took out the dislike button, right? And it has 3,000 likes. Um, it has like a 1.1 star out of 10 on IMDb, right?
Yeah.
And Seth Rogen came out saying everybody that disliked this are white supremacists, and it's just it's
Yeah.
it's
Like,
it's just weird. It's just like, I mean, most people who aren't white dislike this. It's not because they're white supremacists. It's
right.
because it's a bad show and not a popular message, right? And these people, they're just so disconnected from reality, right? And that's with a lot of influencers. I like that you mentioned influencers. I was like, yeah, that's an excellent point. You know,
Yeah. It's because the people who are influencers, whether it be just the social media ones or politicians or athletes, they don't live the normal life, so they don't understand the impact they have, right? They just care about growing in whatever they're doing, right? Politicians want to become more powerful. Athletes want, more people to like them. Same with influencers. And so, they'll go with the trends that get them the upvotes without understanding exactly what's going on. And then you have the sheep that follow them, which that's a terrible way of saying it, but there's a lot of people out there that don't really put a lot of thought into decisions and things that they do. And if they do, it's somebody else's thought that they're just regurgitating. And we've kind of become, and I know we're getting a little political, and I'm not trying to, but we're just become a lot of, you know, we're take we used to take information in, process it, and then form an opinion. And now everyone's opinion's already formed for them, so it's hard to know if people's opinions are their true opinions or if it's something that they've.
right? Yeah. Like, are these opinions that were gaslighted upon them by media that they now like regurgitate because they all they do is consume and don't really critically think or something like that, right? There is a
Yeah, we've lost our ability as a nation to critically think. I think that's the big thing.
yeah. And you know what? It's you mentioned, like, you didn't want to get like too political, but it's funny how we got here is because it all started from gaming. And that's what I mean, like the significance of gaming and gamers. It's a on the surface, like, yeah, it's it's gaming, RuneScape, like that old 20 something year old video game, like, yeah, but the influence and the implications of what happens to the culture is it's like a good litmus test for what is actually happening in society. And it's something that's not really talked about, I think. And it's really
Yeah,
unexplored. You mentioned like there's only a few people that are woke to this, right? And a lot of the people that get it, they're all gamers. That's the thing. Not all of them. Okay, there's a lot of just regular, just like they want to consume whatever product,
yeah,
and that's fine. But within that medium of gaming, you do have a lot of people who do get what's going on, right? And a lot of
well,
them are guys. They're more
yeah,
so guys than girls. That's all I'm
well, and
saying.
I think
It's
that's a
interesting
product of gaming.
stuff. A
Yeah, I think
product
that's a
of gaming.
product of gaming too, right? Gaming has over the years is one of the big things about gaming is your ability to critical think, right? Like, especially, like, for instance, League, you have to have the ability to not only pilot your champion, but also to critically think about 100 different things at once. Same with RuneScape. You have to pilot your thing, and all RuneScape is critically thinking about what you want to do and how you want to do it. Because the people who don't like RuneScape are the people who don't have the ability. I shouldn't say all people, but some people that try RuneScape and don't like it is like, oh, I actually have to think about this and this and this and this, and I'm not equipped to do that, so this doesn't interest me. Not saying that all people do that, but I can see why gamers have the ability to do that, because we've been taught this whole time we've been doing this to critically think. And I think that's why a lot of people that you talk to, we're kind of all in this encompassing this umbrella of critical thinkers, because of the podcasts I've watched, none of them, everyone has an opinion, and they've come to their opinion because their ability to critically think about things.
Yeah. That's true. All very interesting stuff, Well,
Yeah.
well, Captainbubble, we are believe it or not, we've been talking for over an hour now. We're approaching the 1 hour and 30-minute mark. And
Okay.
we have some people in here that want to ask you some questions. So I'll go ahead and unmute them now. But
Okay.
we'll do some questions and then we'll wrap it up here.
Sounds
But
good.
yeah, Groiper had a question, and I also unmuted Amp if you want to ask anything. All right, Groiper, you're unmuted. Groiper. No, he just muted himself. Okay.
Okay. No worries.
That's funny. Well, Amp, if you got a question, you can ask. If not, we're just gonna wrap it up. All
Maybe
right.
they're just listeners today, which is fine.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, yeah, no, those were good stuff. I'm gonna actually mute him again so we don't get the background noise.
Yep. And if you have anything else that you want to ask me before we head off, more than willing to answer.
Yeah. No, I like the direction that we went with this episode. The question of gamers and gaming culture is very interesting to me. That's why I started this podcast. I wanted to explore the perspective of regular gamers, and
Yeah.
but yeah, well, I guess the last thing I got for you that we'll wrap up is so despite all the stuff happening around the world, and the recent intrusion in the last 20 years into the gaming sphere and conversation, a free speech, and now you're grown up, you're 30 something years old, you have a family, you're married, and you have a kid, you're working, you have a lot of stuff ahead of you. Why do you still play RuneScape today? Like there's so many other things you could do, really other games you could do, or maybe not even playing video games. But why do you still play RuneScape? And what words of wisdom could you pass on to our audience today before we wrap up? And that'll be it.
Well, I think the main thing is why I've stuck to RuneScape. I think a lot of it is like we've put a lot of time into it, right? Like I've already put a lot of hours into it, and it's something. It just doesn't really get old. Like that, the feeling of accomplishment when you achieve something has never like it's never been diluted, right? Like every accomplishment you have on here is just it's the next grind, right? And there's that next grind. But this is the only game where it's like when you hit a peak, there's still something else, but you get so much gratification in hitting that mark. And I truly enjoy the grind, but it's also the community. If I didn't talk to other people on the game, like friends brought me to the game, and I stayed playing the game because of my friends. And then, you get invested. Well, now 15 years later, I'm still invested because there's still people and there's still all this community that, hey, we're all doing this together and it's fun and we all have each other's backs when it comes to those achievements. And I think that's one of the beauties of this game that I haven't gotten anywhere, because like I was really good at Call of Duty, back in the day, but I don't touch the game now because it's not something that intrigues me to play because the community's bad, right? And you can grind it all day, but you don't get anything from it, right? Versus this, and I guess words of wisdom I would give is don't give up on your grinds, and just have a goal. Like the worst thing that can happen in game and life is that you lose ambition and you don't strive to be better in different ways. And critically think, for the love of God, people, critically think and have your own opinion and really think about things before you answer or before you jump on a bandwagon. Like, is it something that is true to you? And if it's not, then don't do it. That would be my words of wisdom.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, everybody, you heard it from here from the captain himself, Captainbubble. Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you. And I think this was a very fun conversation. So I think everyone will enjoy it.
Well, I appreciate being on here. Thanks. And sorry again for, not getting on here sooner. I meant to, but
Nah,
I'm
you're
glad.
good.
I'm glad I was able to finally get on here.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it, guys. Bye, guys.
There are baby fucking blood drinkers ruining your internet.
Dude, that's so funny. I just started the recording right when you said that, but okay.